This is our second video for the Pathways information for Grade 10 students and their families for 2020. This part 2, we're looking at the QCE, ATAR and subject selection. Like we looked at in the previous video, we are asking students to be strategic with their decisions, consider their interests, the qualifications that are needed and the future job prospect. So choosing senior subjects. Students who have not been motivated to study hard in grade 10 are extremely unlikely to suddenly find motivation to succeed in challenging subjects in years 11 and 12. Students who have achieved B grades in year 10 should cope with the general subjects on offer, and students wanting to become chefs should consider studying hospitality. We're asking for some common sense to prevail here. Subject selection considerations. So let's think about which subjects is your student currently achieving, which subjects will satisfy future course prerequisites, which learning and career areas are they interested in, and which subjects will provide desired work skills. So the keys to success: students usually perform better and complete homework and assessments to a higher standard if they are interested in what they are studying. What is a QCE and why would students want one? The QCE is Queensland's senior secondary schooling qualification. It is internationally recognised and provides evidence of senior schooling achievements. The QCE allows students to choose from a wide range of learning options to suit their interests and career goals. It's also a measure where employers might be looking for it when students are going for jobs. How can students qualify for a QCE? All subjects in years 11 and 12 can count towards the QCE. Students must pass every unit of study in year 11 and 12. It's important to choose subjects for senior wisely. Pathway changes are not always possible, and students are unable to change any subjects once Unit 3 has commenced. To gain a QCE, students must achieve a total of 20 credits of learning. To achieve this, they must pass their unit, so this is the set standard minimum, in a set pattern. So students must also qualify for 12 credits of completed core courses of study, plus get an additional 8 credits from a combination of core, preparatory and complementary studies. And there can be no duplications, and we'll look at that in future slides. And they must also meet minimum literacy and numeracy requirements. So here's an example of how to gain a QCE. So this student, you can see the list of subjects there the student has studied. Unit 1 and Unit 2 there, and Unit 3 and 4 is a combination. So let's have a look at this. Units 1 and 2 are graded as satisfactory or unsatisfactory. So you'll see this student got satisfactories for all subjects, Units 1 and 2. So literacy, the minimum requirement for the literacy criteria is that they have passed at least one unit of an English subject, and this student has done that. Similarly, they have passed at least one unit of a math subject for the numeracy requirement. Now, completed core, we can see that this student has 4 credits, so they've passed all units for English, for the maths, and also for the history there. So that 12 credits, so 4 credits for each subject there. Remaining credits, we've got 4 for the Japanese, 4 for tourism, 4 for sport and recreation. So this student will qualify for a QCE because they have satisfied all of the requirements. QCE concerns. So this student did not pass the English subject in Unit 1. So they still did get their literacy criteria satisfied by passing Unit 2, you can see there. Numeracy was satisfied in Unit 1. Now, did we get our completed core? So we have essential maths we've passed, physical education we've passed all the way through, and the business studies. So those 12 credits are assured there. Other credits. So we've only passed one unit for English, that unit 2, so we only get 1 credit for that. We've passed 2 units for biology, and we've passed unit 2 as well as the unit 3 and 4 combination for industrial graphics, leading to a total of 18. So unfortunately, this student did not get their QCE, and here is why. Not all units were passed, and all of these units are worth credits. So if students don't pass their units all the way through, they are at a distinct disadvantage and their QCE can be in jeopardy. How can students gain QCE credits in other ways? So we have students that study certificate courses through TAFE or through traineeships. And you can see there are different credits awarded to different qualifications. Duplication of studies. So according to the Queensland Curriculum and Assessment Authority, or QCAA, students are not able to claim credits for duplicated studies. So an example of this is they cannot claim for a Certificate 2 in hospitality as well as a Certificate 3 in hospitality. Only the higher qualification will be accepted. Similarly, students will not get credits for both the Certificate 2 in construction pathways and if they complete the school subject building and construction. So if they do both of those, students will only get credit for one. Here's an example. So this student has their literacy tick. They've passed that minimum of 1 unit of an English subject. They have their numeracy tick. Do we have core? Yes, we do. Now, credits overall. We have 4 for the visual arts in practice, 1 for the sport and recreation, 4 for building and construction. However, the student did building and construction and a Certificate 2 in construction. You'll see the building and construction got the 4 credits and the Certificate 2 actually got 0. So we cannot duplicate these studies as they are judged as the same learning and only one of them will get the credits. The Certificate 2 is also worth 4 credits, so it didn't really matter which one I gave the 4 credits and which one got the 0 because they're only going to get credits for one of those. And this is another reason why we don't allow students at our school to study both of these subjects and qualifications. Gain a QCE. The key is to select subjects that students are interested in and will cope with. That is pass. Now looking at the ATAR and university prerequisite subjects. What is an ATAR? The Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank is used to gain entry into university and some TAFE diploma courses. ATARs range from 99.95, which is the best, down to 0. So how do you qualify for an ATAR? Students can gain an ATAR by studying 5 general subjects, or 4 general subjects and 1 applied subject, or 4 general subjects and 1 VET qualification at Certificate 3 or above. Now, students at our school must choose 6 subjects. So some students might actually choose 6 general subjects, or maybe 5 general subjects and applied. There are quite a few different combinations that they can study. Once a probationary period has been successfully completed, students completing TAFE courses and school-based apprenticeships or traineeships may apply to have their timetables adjusted. All ATAR students must study an English subject. So at our school we have General English or Essential English. Universities will expect students to have studied General English and achieved at least a C standard upon completion of Units 3 and 4. If students study 6 general subjects, their ATAR is calculated on their 5 best scoring subjects. So what's different? Students can now include an applied subject, usually a more practical subject, and or a VET qualification in their ATAR calculation. This means that more students are expected to qualify for an ATAR. So let's look at general subjects. General subjects have more theory and usually more complex assessments. Students will complete a mix of school-based assessments and external examinations worth up to 50% of the final grade. That is especially important because that 50% relates to maths and science subjects. Most of your other general subjects are anywhere from 25% up to 50%. To get a more useful ATAR, students need to get at least a B average in their general subjects. So considerations. Students who do not achieve a B or better in Year 10 subjects will find general subjects difficult. This is based on data that we have looked at over the last couple of years. ATAR students aiming for university must check prerequisites when finalising their subject choices. University prerequisites. Most university courses have a general English subject as a prerequisite. So that's Units 3 and 4, they must exit on a C. Many engineering, science and health courses also have prerequisites of mathematical methods, chemistry and or physics. Again, completing Units 3 and 4 with a minimum of C. Primary and early childhood education courses have prerequisites of a general English subject, a general maths subject, and at least one general science subject. TAFE prerequisites. The majority of TAFE diploma courses don't have any prerequisites. And students and families are able to have a look at these prerequisites for university and TAFE on the QTAC website, and the URL is listed there. Applied subjects. These can be used in the calculation of an ATAR, depending of course on the number of general subjects a student is studying. Some include practical skills, others cover knowledge relevant to specific industries, and the theory component is reduced compared to general subjects. How would you describe the difficulty or how challenging the grade 11 subjects have been so far?
The grade 11 subjects, they get more difficult as there's more word limit and the topics do get more difficult and more complex. There's more expected of you to do and more research you have to do by yourself. It's more a individual instead of student teacher. It's more you have to get and find out yourself what to do.
Okay, and have you had to change subjects, and what was the reason?
I've had to change chemistry. See, chemistry originally it had certain topics and it was more easy to understand, yet as the assignments got more difficult and the topics changed, it got hard to understand all the new concepts.
Okay. So how much time would you say you're putting into study and homework?
It varies from subject to subject, but for example, ancient history, I have to do about 2,000 words for some assignments, which could take up to like an hour for some parts, and that could be every day. So 7 hours a week just to one subject.
Okay, so can you describe how you have found grade 11 compared to grade 10?
From grade 10 to grade 11, it was a large jump, and grade 11 subjects are, in the general subjects, they are like quite hard, and you have to put a lot of work in, and you don't get as much guidance, but I guess to put more work in, it's better for you and the grades that you'll get out of it.
So what do you mean you don't get much guidance?
So you don't get as much like scaffolding and like because teachers with drafting and that, they could tell you and rearrange the subject, the sentences and all that, but now they can't do that. They can't give you as much feedback as in grade 10.
Okay, so you've changed a couple of subjects, haven't you?
Yeah.
What were your main reasons for changing?
My main reasons, because I went down from general to essential. The main reason was I didn't think it was going to require so much more work than it did in grade 10, and so I moved down so I could get better grades as well for me.
So would you say that the general subjects you found stressful?
Yeah.
And a lot of work?
Yeah.
So Martin, how would you describe the jump from grade 10 to 11 with the subject difficulty?
Well, the difficulty level is, like, there's a big jump in the difficulty. At the first term, I thought the difficulty was going to be the same as it was in Year 10, So I didn't put any effort in, didn't work as hard, and my marks just dropped. And you can tell, like, the amount of work that's required to achieve the same results is much, much more in the Year 11 subjects in comparison to the Year 10 subjects we did last year.
So do you do all general subjects?
Yes, I do 6 general subjects.
And how much work do you have to put in outside of school time?
I probably do per week maybe 10 or 15 hours a week outside of school.
And how big are the assessments?
So most of them is around 1,500 to 2,000 words, around there. And then the exams, the maths exam counted out of 96 points, so they're pretty big exams and assignments to do.
Now, I haven't looked at your report card. Did you get a B for any subject?
Term 1, I got 1B, 1A and 4 Cs. And then term 2, that came up to 1A, 4 Bs and 1 C, I think.
So how much extra work do you think you had to put in to get an A or a B?
Compared to last year?
Even compared to the subject that you might have gotten a C in. So
I think, yeah,
to go from a C to a B, how much extra work do you think that was?
probably double the amount that I did first. So there's a fair bit of extra work extra effort you have to put in to achieve the high marks.
So consider this. To gain entry into a university course in Brisbane, students usually need to get an ATAR of 69 or better. Some students think that if they achieve C grades for all or most subjects, they will get an ATAR of about the 69. So here's an example of a past student, and we've had a bit of a look at how this student would have gone with their ATAR compared to the previous OP system. And this student would have actually achieved an ATAR of only 45.25, which is a fair distance from that 69 that they would have needed to have gotten into university in Brisbane. Here's another student, and you'll see now where the grades are a little bit better. The previous student had all C's. This student now has 3 B's and 3 C's. So let's have a look at the difference. A little bit closer to that 69. So have a think about what you might need to do to get to that 69. The challenge is for students to choose those subjects that they will enjoy more and cope better with, and obviously do well in. So recommendations. Read the subject selection booklet carefully. Consider the workload, prerequisite grade 10 studies, any excursions or camps, and prerequisites for university or TAFE. And be realistic with your subject choices and future goals. Also, talk to subject teachers and heads of department. They know your student well and will be able to provide quality advice on the senior curriculum and how your student might cope with senior subjects. The Wellington Point State High School SETP 2020 Ed Studio is a resource for students and families, and there are lots of links on there to quizzes and tips and videos and more. Where will your pathway lead? Now I'll invite you to watch part 3 of this series of video clips designed to assist Year 10 students and their families complete their SETP.